There's hell below!
It looks like all our favorite shows are gearing up for a massive 2024 because just over this weekend we got not one but two trailers for highly anticipated shows. We already did a full trailer breakdown for House of the Dragon Season 2 trailer, which you should definitely check out if you haven't yet, and now we've got to the second one. The last time we met Billy Butcher's boys, they weren't exactly his anymore, and the last time we saw Butcher himself, he was standing in the woods underneath the God U campus wondering just what in the world was going on over there. Well, we see a lot of him in this trailer along with a new friend of his being played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. We also get to see some new faces joining up with Homelander and Vought as the former prepares to go to trial, and a lot of old faces coming to terms with victory, creepy mementos in glass jars, or the tendencies for sadomasochistic intercourse. Looking at you, Ashley, and luckily for you guys, we're here to break it all down. But before we go into our explanation, we have a small request. If you enjoy our content, please give this video a massive thumbs up, share it with your friends, and smash that subscribe button with the notification bell turned to always while you're at it. It helps us create the content that you love and bring in more marvelous viewers like you. Now let's get straight into it. Homelander's upcoming trial. The first shot of the new trailer shows us Homelander sitting in his room all by his lonesome, and that's concerning enough. We know that Homie's experiencing borderline split personality disorder systems, and his room, which is decked out in all Americana regalia, is a reminder of just how hollow he truly is on the inside to him. Seeing him sitting on a sofa staring out at nothing in particular, it's a motive associated with impending doom in the series. And the zoom off the 7th tower doesn't help things along. The last time we saw Homelander in The Boys, he blew up a dude with his laser eyes on national TV and got an ovation for it. This was a pivotal moment for his character and Ryan's, for that matter, as they realized that they were loved by radical elements of society for their extreme beliefs. But it wasn't the last time we saw Black Mirror Superman. The last time we actually saw Homelander was in the final moments of Gen V, where he popped up on Godolphin University's campus and took down Marie Moreau for attacking her own kind. Throughout Gen V, there were multiple references to Homelander's upcoming trial for that murder we just mentioned, and it looks like it's going to be one of the central plots of The Boys Season 4. At one point in the trailer, you can clearly see the camera focusing on the New York Country Courthouse, which makes sense given that 7 Tower is located in New York. Homelander is being tried locally for his crimes, which is about as realistic as judicial depictions of such a case are going to get. We also see Annie and Huey step out of the 21st Precinct in another brief shot, with Starlight then using her powers to send out some sort of signal. Given that the building appears to be a brownstone, it wouldn't be a stretch of the imagination to think that Huey and Annie are taking the legal route on this one. As you might recall, at the end of The Boys Season 3, the command structure of our favorite group of rogues was shaken up a little bit. Instead of Butcher calling all the shots, democracy is now the order of the day. Given that we've already seen Huey affiliate himself with a governmental agency to try to do the right thing, and Annie's principles align with it for the moment, this softer approach to battling Homelander could end up paying dividends in the long run. But that remains to be seen. As for Homelander himself, well, to say he's coping with things, well, would be a lie. There is a point in the trailer where he screams in frustration while standing near a skyscraper and then just zips off into the sky. This is presumably because the trial isn't going all so well for Big Homie, and you can expect the outcome to be foreboding for the entire world, whichever way the verdict goes.
All democracies fail because
Vic finally becomes the Veep and maybe the president soon. Speaking of foreboding things, it appears as though Victoria Newman is about to realize her political ambitions because, according to the Season 4 teaser trailer, her presidential campaign with Bob Singer is going to succeed. And trust us when we say that can't be good for anyone except Vicky herself. Vic's vice presidential campaign ran into a few obstacles on the path to victory. We cannot deny that. The last time she tried to make her pitch for Homelander being put on trial fairly, she got attacked by pro-Homelander students on Godolphin University's campus. But if the balloons and this aggressive hand raise are anything to go by, it looks like Vic managed to turn that PR disaster into a miracle. Now that she is en route to getting real political power, you can expect her cutthroat nature to come out soon. Don't forget that towards the end of Gen V, Victoria Newman took possession of the only virus in the world that can kill Supes and is contagious changes to them and them only. She did this by betraying Dr. Edison Cardosa, and now that she holds the means to controlling the fates of all Americans, human and Supe alike, she's going to end up becoming one of the biggest players in the entire franchise. And why do we say that? Well, it's simple. Because if everything goes according to her plans, Vic the Veep is going to end up as Vic the Peep, aka the president of the free world. Also expect someone to call her Vic the Veep in Season 4 as a quip, because we know that's just how much Eric Kripke loves his references. Now, getting back to how she might become president, well, there are two things that suggest to us that she might just kill Dakota Bob to take his job. The first is the way the office of the president works in the US. In case a sitting president dies, his job rolls over to the vice president. Victoria Newman has already established herself as the enigmatic head pauper assassin within the Boysverse. Well, enigmatic for the general population at least. Everyone who knows her secret is either locked up or publicly discredited. And the final episode on the running order for Season 4 is titled Assassination Run. While that might refer to an attempt on Homelander's life by the boys or an attack on Starlight's life by Homelander fanatics, we think it actually refers to Vic assassinating her running mate and taking over the reins. Recall that despite having an alliance with Homelander, Vic is only in it for her daughter. Once she gets into a position where she can control even the strongest man in the world, she won't have to resort to her blood-based superpowers, and that itself is a terrifying prospect. Now that we've mentioned prospects,
Caesar.
Don't worry. If there's hell below,
meet the new members of the Seven. Following the disaster that was ending of Season 3 and the failed recruitment run that was featured in Gen V, Rip Golden Boy, the Seven is sorely hurting for new members, and it looks like instead of looking to recruit talents based off their accomplishments, Homelander looked at ideological compatibility and complete loyalty as key factors. There is a part of the trailer where it appears as though Vought is staging a massive public event. There's a huge stage, dozens of dancers, and flags all starred spangled in red, white, and blue. Homelander's there with Ryan and its new teammates. Welcome to the Seven, Sister Sage and Firecracker. Let's start with the latter because she honestly looks like she's going to be a bunch of fun. In the darkest way possible, Firecracker is dressed like a knockoff version of Queen Maeve and acts like a knockoff version of Stormfront, pre-Nazi reveal. The only close-up shot of her we see is her holding a gun in her hand, high above her head and standing on a logo that says, The Truth Bomb with Firecracker. Did we mention she had big Coleman energy too? Gen V made it very clear that media was about 90% of all what Supes ended up doing, and it looks like Firecracker is in the same league as Emma in that regard. Given her cheery disposition, it's possible she might end up becoming the goofball of the Seven. There's a shot later in the trailer that shows someone performing as Queen Maeve on stage, and it could just as well be a flashback of Firecracker's childhood. While we would love to see her backstory, we're not sure we'd want to know where the other ones come from. Sister Sage beats Marie Moreau in the race to become the first black woman in the Seven, despite her young look. Data available on her character states that she's somewhere in her 30s to 40s, and considering that she is the one narrating that rather chilling voiceover we hear at the beginning of the trailer, we don't need to explain to you why she's going to be a cornucopia of contradictions in the upcoming series. We will get into the dialogue itself later in the video, but for now, this brings up the numbers of the Seven from 3 Homelander, Deep, and A-Train to 6, and yes, we didn't miscalculate that figure because and also Black Noir 2.0. That's right, folks, our favorite tragic Supe is back in the team, but not quite how you're imagining it. No, you're not recalling things incorrectly. Homelander did kill Black Noir in Season 3. He punched a hole through him, to be precise, and all that because he kept his psychopath Ubersmensch dad's identity secret. No, they didn't invent reincarnation tech in the boys that would make the whole arc with the Woods and Gen V pointless. The answer is quite simple. This is a different Supe, cosplaying as a Black Noir. Ewan Mitchell, the actor who portrayed the Silent Noir, is going to continue in the same role, but now he's going to have a personality that will make his character reach levels of hilarity we haven't seen from it in yet. In the storyline, the reason for Noir's absence is a secret mission, and when he returns, the Deep and A-Train pose with him for the cameras like a couple of idiots. This trio is going to give us some much-needed moments of levity, as well as for the rest of Team Homelander, we imagine. Now that we've mentioned Team Homelander, let's just briefly ruffle through its members and see where their stories are going to end up going. At least, according to the trailer. A-Train has the least amount of focus in the trailer, which to us implies he's going to be the most important character in the 7 from a narrative perspective. We've seen Reggie get on the path to redemption once. Just because he's strayed from it doesn't mean he can't get back on it and become a mole for the boys or something. The Deep is going to continue being the adorably aloof idiot that he is, as we see him engaging in a heart-to-heart with yet another octopus who happens to have a Deep action figure in its water tank. We want everyone to know we do not support things like bestiality on this channel. Closing things out with Ashley, it looks like everyone's favorite struggling girl boss has finally been pushed over the edge and gone complete Cruella de Vil, minus dogs plus balls. Oh, believe us? Ask Cameron Coleman, whom she seems to have swapped in for Adam Burke. There's a hilarious shot in the trailer which shows A-Train come across a glass jar with what looks like the remnants of Ashley's hair, because we've known she pulls out her own hair under stress and wears a wig to hide it. And given that Gen V ended with her Dean at God You dead, her secret project completely in ruins, and 4 students now aware of the truth of Supes society, we honestly can't blame her for wanting to preserve the last bit of her hair. But on the topic of OGs, the OG boys are back in action. Oh, so you thought that just because the boys were more democratic now that we wouldn't get the infiltration missions that made the series famous with the OG squad? Well, you were thought wrong, son, because the boys are headed to TruthCon. Well, at least Butcher and MM are. Speaking of MM, Laz Alonso is also absolutely cut in this trailer. Goddamn did he get in shape. TruthCon appears to be a parody of media convention, but for pro-Homelander conspiracy theorists. If you stop the frame where we see Butcher and MM investigating, you will see a banner in the background that says, "There are no conspiracies, there are no coincidences," which is a chilling reflection of certain corners of the internet and the world being brought integrated in mainstream fiction. Frenchie and Kimiko are shown infiltrating what looks like a Jitterbean warehouse in another part of the trailer. Jitterbean is a brand that has been closely associated with Vought-owned brands. It's where Starlight meets her mom in Season 2. It has an on-campus location on God U, right beside Vought a Burger. Point is, maybe there's something or someone at the factory that Billy and his boys need to get. And they're doing this one old school style. The boys will also encounter 2 rather unique Supes in the series. One, a girl with a mouth like a bloodworm's, who fights Kimiko in what is presumably the former's home, and another guy who can literally split himself in half, which leaves MM both impressed and disgusted. What is the target of their investigation? Recency bias would suggest they're following up on the woods. The mid-credits scene of the final episode of Gen V showed Billy step into the woods facility in God U's campus and hit us with one of his patented foul-mouthed one-liners. Sam wasn't the only person that lived in that facility, so it's possible that Butcher is looking for the escapees, and Bloodworm Girl and Split Guy are their targets. But staying with Split Guy, what makes MM disgusted of him is likely both his power and the t-shirts he's wearing, because Homelander versus Starlighters, the riot of a lifetime. And the fact that the boys' official Instagram account uploaded Season 4's trailer with a caption literally hinting at a riot isn't enough for you, then maybe the scene where absolute carnage seems to break out in front of the NYC courthouse will do the trick for you. Either way, just as the official description for Season 4 of The Boys states, the world is on the brink and the battle lines have clearly drawn in between 2 camps, the Homelanders and the Starlighters. The former drastically outweighs the latter in terms of public turnout at the very least. Human supporters for Homelander should be the least of the Starlighters' worries, because there's an entire college campus full of Supes that lie in the former camp. Throughout Gen V, the pro-Homelander Supe supremacy storyline was kept secondary, but it was kept alive. Characters like Rufus and many of the people who orchestrated the spontaneous attack on Victoria Newman when she visited the campus show you just how potentially dangerous a contingent of Supes under Homelander's command could be. The campus itself seems mostly pro-Homelander, in that the show ended with Supe supremacists Kate and Sam at the top-ranked students. Even in this trailer, it is Homelander's supporters who are the aggressors as they hop over the barricade separating them and Starlighters and start an all-out brawl in their messiah's name. Annie witnesses this conflict, and all she can do is stare at Homelander, who stands just across the street, sporting a cold, spine-chilling smile. Given the shots that we see of the crowd gathered for the trial, we expect this sequence to be one of the largest fight sequences in the franchise. NYPD won't be able to stop a crowd of raging Homelanders, so it will likely be down to Starlight to stop the madness. It will be interesting to see how she copes with the pressure of true heroism and whether she continues to stick to her ideals or not. One person we know won't stay faithful to his promises is the guy up next, though. Who is Butcher's new friend? Why does Billy bring him in? At the end of Season 3 of The Boys, we learned that because of his V24 abuse, Butcher had a few months of best to live. He has severe brain cancer to the point it feels like his brain is leaking out of his ears, and when we see him take a sip of a drink in his trailer, the nerve bulging out of his forehead rearranges itself. Now, we're no medical experts, but we'd like to take a guess and say that's a bad thing. Butcher is also seen hanging out alone in what looks like an abandoned Soup toy store, as we see a polarity cut out for a very brief moment in that shot, but these two things should be enough to tell you that Billy is about to do something drastic in Season 4. He's never been much of a democracy guy, and we've seen him do what's best for his agenda multiple times in the series, no matter the risk it poses to others. He let Huey take V24 despite feeling its severe side effects just so he could kill Supes, specifically Homelander. Now that he has only a few months to live, Billy's vendetta will be kicking into overdrive, and perhaps that's where Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character comes in. Jeff's character is called Joe Kessler, and from what we've seen of him in the trailer, he looks like an old intelligence pal of Billy's. They dap it up in their first shot together, and in their last shot together, Kessler ridicules the code name of Billy's team, which gives Butcher a rather long pause. The familiarity between them and Butcher's paramilitary history suggests that these two know each other from an operation back when Billy wasn't hunting Supes. It could be that Kessler is Grace Mallory's subordinate who is said to be coming back for Season 4, but we can't confirm that yet. The reason Billy's bringing in an old friend is because he needs to get assistance outside of his current bubble of squeaky clean, morally righteous folks. Well, not entirely squeaky clean from a criminal perspective. Looking at Frenchie right now, but you get what we mean. In the comics, Butcher's goal wasn't just to kill Homelander, it was to exterminate all Supes in the world. The show has only subtly hinted at this being his true heart's desire, but it did slip out right before his, shall we say, passion scene with Queen Maeve. If Joe Kessler is the guy who can help him do it, then we don't even want to know what kind of skeletons he has in his closet. But you know what they say about curiosity? We're sure it will be proven true again and when the season finally comes out. What will Ryan's role be in Season 4? This is a curious one because on the surface it looks like Ryan is Team Homelander through and through. At the end of Season 3 and 4, we've seen him celebrate Father's Day with Homelander, possibly his first Father's Day ever. If you want to check out that lovely piece of marketing, head over to Vought International after this video is over. And in the trailer of Season 4, Ryan seems to still be riding the high of being accepted despite being raised to believe he wouldn't be. We see him with Homelander on a couple of occasions and he always smiling when he's with his dad. It's kind of disgusting that Homie is pimping his kid out to the media to save his own skin, and that Ryan is too young to realize this, but that could be what turns the boy's character around. In the description for Season 4, emphasis is laid on the fact that Butcher couldn't keep his promise to Becca. He has also been practically ousted as leader because of his constant lying and his poisonous mentality. The one time he was doing good with Ryan, he pushed him away by trying to pin Becca's death on him, despite knowing full well it was an accident. Now sure, Butcher did it to protect Ryan, but the consequences of that protection are his current condition. With a ticking time clock, Billy will go to any lengths to see his ultimate desire fulfilled, and besides, his death pact with Homelander is still in place, well, sort of. And speaking of Homelander, let's address the most disturbing moment of the trailer in our next and final section. What does the trailer's final shot imply? Despite showing us scenes of civil unrest, rogue Supes attacking the heroes, and the possibility of a riot in NYC, which is already pretty dangerous as it is, the one shot from the trailer that is the most disturbing is its final one. Right after the title card flashes and we're told Season 4 is coming soon, we get a glimpse of Homelander standing in an elevator covered in blood from head to toe. As the trailer ends, Homie's face takes on a sickening smile, and this one moment solidifies Anthony Starr as the greatest on-screen comic book villain ever, and yes, we're aware of the irony of that sentence, but come on, are you really going to deny it? But a question that we should be asking is, why is Homelander covered in blood? And the answer comes from the opening voiceover of the trailer. At the start of the trailer, a voice claims that democracy always fails because people are really stupid. Only the trailer doesn't use the word really. It claims that crushing them for their incompetency feels like a natural response to its listener, but then suggests something rather devious. The voice suggests that instead of crushing the humans, the listeners should just turn them against each other, stoke the flames of conflict, and swoop in when at the opportune moment to come out looking like $1,000,000. Basically, it asks him to pull a Julius Caesar, and that voice, as it turns out, belongs to Homie's new teammate, Sister Sage, which is why we think people are going to hate her more than Cat Williams hate the Popeyes jingle lady. But it looks like Homelander puts his ego aside throughout this lecture and takes the advice he's been given, because we see him getting more and more smug as the trailer advances. Meanwhile, his followers are running about trying to cause a riot. But the one thing we know about Homelander is that whatever facade he puts on, it usually doesn't hold. This one won't either. The last time he was completely covered in blood, he was just imagining killing hundreds of people. This time he might just end up going through with it. And because he thinks people love him for who he is, he will do it all with a smile on his face. Marvelous verdict. But when it comes to this video, we're sorry to turn your smiles into frowns because that's all we've got. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, as we will be covering The Boys Season 4 as soon as it comes out on this channel. Enjoy your day, and we hope to see you guys on the next one.